Of course, everybody's there to play, say.
Better start than me on Monday, to be fair.
Well, let's see if I can get by 5 minutes a night before I start slacking anybody. Right, so anyway, welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. What's that? 211, and I'm on the night, Friday night, with Zig and Zag. So no nonsense for you to pair. I've watched a few Fridays. I can use a like.
Cannot promise anything.
And then Anthony as well. How are you all doing, boys?
All good, mate. All good. It's Friday night. It's Cup Final Eve. Our first Scottish Cup Final preview show. Can't beat it, man. Sun's shining. Let's go.
Love it.
I'm buzzing like an old fridge for Amora. I'll not sleep.
I'm buzzing like an old fridge with a wasp nest stuck inside it.
Well, I'm just looking forward to the more. I've not got any part like that.
That wasn't a good pattern, mate.
Better than what I'm going to come up with. So we'll go with that. But anyway, let's just get cracked into it. We'll talk about. In fact, I better actually thank the show sponsors. Better not forget them. So, let's just get him thrown off for last week. Worried about wins and that. I just once again a big thank you to the show sponsors. Get 10% off on that if you just follow the link below. Plenty of good club on that. Stephen's got a few of the numbers. He's actually got a nice wee tidy pink number on that. I wonder if he'll wear it the more on that, but we'll see. Aye, it's nice. It's nice. But anyway, we'll get cracking on, and as I say, we're going to try and focus a lot on the Scottish Cup and stuff and things like that, like the treble. It being such a big weekend that potentially making history and stuff, but it wouldn't be right if I didn't talk about the elephant in the room and the Ange rumours. Wally's favourite topic, rumours. Might as well just start with that. And it's kind of been rife all week that they've apparently made approaches, no made approaches. Nobody's really, as much as even said it's came for a source. So I'm like Stephen. I fall hook, line, and sinker for them and stuff. So I don't know where we're like. Our group chat yesterday, we were all up and down, we were all over the place.
No, yes.
No, yes. You and Ross are kind of the sensible one, but you more so, especially when it comes to rumours. You're more, you tend to shut off of them. John pretends he doesn't, but he chucks hundreds of rumours in, but says he doesn't believe them. So, so anyway, Anthony, seeing as you didn't really want to talk much about them, I'll come to you first. What you making of all this nonsense?
As I said earlier, boys, tittle tattle gossip with not a single official quote. I get and listen if the boys want to mention about it, talk about it, then that's absolutely their right. But for me, the night, I'm carrying on the way that Ange and the players have been doing in the press all week leading up to this. It's Cup Final week. Not only have we got the chance to win the Cup, we've got the chance to win a treble, we've got a chance to break a world record, and that's literally all I'm wanting to talk about the night and other things about the Scottish Cup. Really not. I've got nothing more to add to it. I know we'll know more one way or the other come Monday, I'm sure, and I'll have plenty of time to, reflect and digest on it, for then. But until then, I've tried to, as best as the other boys have done as well, tried to blank it all out. As I say, it's not our first rodeo. We've had plenty of managers come and go. Obviously, this Ange, we hope it sticks around, but we'll just need to wait and see what happens. But as of right now, Cup Final and Cup Final only, my man.
That's fair enough. But I'm not going to move away from it. I've still got to talk about it, Anthony. Right?
Consummate professional.
That was no bad.
I'm auditioning for the job in case it comes up,
I get what you're saying, Anthony. I think we all want him to stay. It goes without saying. We all want. None of us want to see him go. It's just. Sometimes they say there's no smoke without fire, but I think as well what's making me think that he will hang around is the fact that nobody's really done it from a source. I appreciate Sky Sports of there's our winner of the Super Six.
Well done,
Stephen. Well done.
Winner. Like Sky Sports, as we said, usually didn't report things that with a wee bit of concrete evidence, but it all seems to be coming from one news report that all these stories of this rumour kind of gathered a lot of pace where everybody just kind of regurgitated the same story where it seemed in this. I know the bookies kind of go on trends and stuff and betting. If you go with the bookies, it's pretty much a certainty. I think the last I checked, it was 1-5 on, where the closest one was 10-1. Luis Enrique, which seems to be a name that's getting bandied about a wee bit. But I don't know what you think, Wally. I mean, I know you're no one.
I think you do know what I think because I've been talking for days in the chat.
But let's just keep to the illusion, Wally, for the folk
Okay.
that are listening.
Aye.
What do you think, Wally?
I was like, I was fuming on Thursday because the chat was going rife with everybody saying that's it, he's gone, he's away. And then I was working from home, so I had all Sky Sports. I was looking through every report, and in every single report, I didn't see one quote or source or any shred of evidence. Everything was, even Sky Sports was, we believe he's the favourite for the Spurs job, and there's been contact made, but there was nothing, no quotes, nothing. So it was winding me up because, as usual, the mainstream media is peddling a story to sell or to take interest. And there's just as much evidence there, including Ange's press conferences or anything he's been asked in the last fortnight, to suggest that he's staying, as much as there is to suggest he's going. And with the bookies' favourites, I mean, everybody's firing bets on him, so the odds are going to tumble. And I was just like Tony. I was just sick, fed up of seeing all that when we are on the verge of a historic treble, which is unbelievable, and nobody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about Ange going, and it's all about what news you focus on. And like I say, there's just as much there to say he's going to stay as he's going to go. What I would say is, I do believe that Spurs are interested. I'm not so sure he would be the number one target. I would be willing to bet my house and my whole life that there's been no contact between Ange and Spurs as of yet, because after his press conference yesterday, there's no way he's saying that if he's spoken to them. Will there be contact next week? I would, if I had a free bet, I'd probably bet on it. But as of right now in here, it's just not happening, in my opinion. And right, like Tony, I'm sick, fed up of hearing about it this week and the last fortnight. Let's talk. Let's hear more about fucking a cup final that we're ready to win a treble in.
Again, you make very good points. Well, there is no source, and if you want to kind of sort of counter the argument, there was a guy, a partnership reporter for Sky Sports, tweeted last night that he's said he doesn't want the job and he's got to sign a 3-year deal. So this guy apparently is a journalist for Sky Sports. You just don't know what one to believe and stuff.
See, the biggest one, mate. Sorry, just that one with Romano the day. You know, apparently Romano's the
go-to guy,
the oracle. You can see the future and all the rest of it. And that story was shared today that they're going to make contact next week and they're going to sit down and talk to him. And that was a story, buff. But then I sent you a snippet from that whatever story and a podcast he was talking on, and he said that Enrique has spoken to Napoli, but he wants to go to the Premier League, and apparently Enrique's holding out for Spurs. But that's not the headline.
No.
That's just a wee snip because everybody wants it to be this big story that Ange is getting it, and everybody just jumps on that. So I'm not worried in the slightest at the moment. As soon as we start seeing concrete proof, you know me, even with signings, I'm like, I don't believe it until they're there with a scarf above the head, and I'll be the exact same with Ange. Until there's concrete evidence that he's away, I'll not be believing a word, and I'll be assuming he's still on this rolling contract, and that's it.
I know. I say we all hope he stays in that, Ross. And like Wally was touching on with his pressers, you do look at them for wee snippets to give you clues to either way. But I think we can all agree, Ange's kind of, it doesn't really give you clues to anything. Like, even if you go to injuries and stuff, he'll not tell you if a guy's like, he doesn't even really properly allude to how long a guy's out and stuff. So he plays his cards close to his chest, Ange, and with anything, and certainly with things like this, obviously with the weekend coming up, the game and stuff. So, like I say, you do try and pick up things for that. I don't know where your head currently is. I know in the group chat you were up and down yesterday and stuff. And I think I suppose in that, I suppose one positive you've got if there is such a thing out of this is it shows that Ange is doing a good job, that he's attracting what's maybe perceived as one of the bigger clubs in the EPL and stuff. So if he's doing a bigger job, it's the nature of the beast that bigger teams or bigger propositions, bigger opportunities may come in for the Celtic manager, Celtic players. It's the way it's always been, but I don't really know what's your thoughts on it currently. The days they changed much for yesterday.
Well, I mean, touching on what you've kind of said there, firstly, like, I think if Ange were to stay, right, he would do, once again for me, a similar job to what he's done. We'd gone to the Champions League. I think, obviously, he said when he came in that he wants to make his mark on that. For me, at the moment, no, for me, I think it's evident for everybody that he hasn't yet done that in his one campaign. He couldn't reach it in the first campaign because, he took over an absolutely depleted squad that was in tatters. Fucking disgrace this week. There. But aye, the squad. So we're looking at it. He's came in. He said he wants domestic dominance. I listened to Alistair Johnston yesterday, who was talking in his presser, and he said that Ange sold him, like he sold him on the club about he wants him to come in and have domestic dominance and make his mark in Europe. Now, I look at Ange, I see him as a man of integrity. I think we can all agree on that, or that's the impression we get anyway. Now, Alistair Johnston's came in to Celtic. He wanted to come to Celtic anyway, but Ange sold him that, as I say, making his mark in the Champions League. Alistair Johnston hasn't kicked a ball in anger in that tournament yet under Ange, because obviously it was all by when he came in. So for me, things like that, it wouldn't sit right with me if Ange then did go. But then, because he sold that to guys like Alistair Johnston, he sold it to other guys that he's brought in the time he's been here, and they haven't done it yet. So I think if he went now, I would understand, and I'll sort of get to that in a wee minute. But I also think if he did go now, it's probably a year too early. But then you look at it and you go, how many Celtic managers that have done well have been offered a job of the size of Spurs? It's always a Brighton, a Southampton. I think teams like that, like Gordon Strachan, he went to Middlesbrough, I'm sure, after he left us. Martin O'Neill, he went to Aston Villa. They were he got them into the top six. I don't think they are they aren't a top six club, and they weren't when he took over them. But probably that Aston Villa job is the biggest job that a Celtic manager, certainly for the turn of the century, has managed to get off the back of being at Celtic. So Ange probably look at that and think to himself, I might not get another opportunity like Spurs. I think at the very least, he'll speak to them, and I've got no problem with that. And if he speaks to them, and Levy doesn't fancy him, or Ange doesn't fancy it, and he comes back, hold absolutely no grudges, because it's his right to go and speak to him. He has to explore that. But then at the same time, if he does leave, like I've said, I feel like it's a year too early. He's not finished the project that he sort of promised us and he wants to do. But then at the same time, at Spurs, they aren't a top four club. Ange will believe they've been in the top four recently, but Ange will believe he can get them back into that, even though there's so many clubs ahead of them, and you bring Newcastle into the mix, Liverpool will be back, Chelsea will be back. I spoke about that on Monday night. Listen, it's you weigh up the pros for Ange going, the pros for Ange staying, and the cons for both, and you can see it for both sides. You would understand why he went, you would understand why he stayed, because Tottenham are in disarray as well, but he took over Celtic in disarray, had no qualms about it. At the minute, I'm sitting at 50-50 whether he stays or goes, but like Wally, I don't think that Spurs have spoke to Ange at all, and even if they wanted to, I don't think Ange would speak to them right now, because he said in his presser yesterday, he's only concentrating on one thing and one thing only, and that's the cup final. And there's no, Alistair Johnston alluded to it, there's no noise getting into the players and all the rest of it. Obviously, they can see the stuff in the news. He's alluded to that. But listen, like Anthony, let's get this cup final played. I think if we didn't have this cup final, we'd already know what was happening. But Ange is only thinking about one thing and one thing only. And I think we've spoke about it long enough. I think time will tell. We'll probably have more clarity. I wouldn't say straight away, probably, unless he's staying. Because if he decides, listen, I'm staying, they might announce it in the showers. But I think we'll have more clarity. I know. By the way, I'd start greeting. I would probably greet Mayor finding out he stayed than I would if he left. But listen, middle of next week we'll have a bit more clarity. But the Mora is a massive day for our club. Ange knows he isn't bigger than the club. That's why he's no talking about anything else. This is a massive day for our club. We've got an opportunity, as we all know, to win a world record breaking 8th treble. We just break records. We have broke records for the last 7 to 10 years, and we just keep doing it. And we've got another one to do, the Mora. And listen, greatest respect to Inverness. I'm sure we'll go on to it. I don't think we could have handpicked. Could have handpicked because you could have picked obviously a lower league team than them, but you get my sentiments. Listen, if you want to win a treble and it's not against a team in the same league as you couldn't ask for more. But again, there'll be trepidation that comes with it. But listen, we look forward to it, and a big day in Willie's Bar the Mora, and I hope everybody has a great day. I can't wait.
Put it this way, Ross. I'm away down to London next week, so if the day poach him, I'll nip up to White Hart Lane and egg Daniel Levy's Windies. So buy the eggs before you go. I've heard they're a fortune down there.
that's how you go. A lot of the things you said there, Ross. That's what got me thinking. As the Lurie Spurs, I agree with you. I don't think they're a top 4 club, but top 6, I think you could argue. And then the money and stuff that comes with that. Like we said, Ange, I think he'll believe in his sale that you can maybe get them at the Champions League. I think there's a lot to be said about staying in London and stuff. I think that attracts a lot of players. So I hope no. As I say, I hope no. What is that?
What did you get? What did you get,
Paul?
That's it, mate.
He's not on a diet anyway, Paul, is he? Sorry.
Yes, man.
No.
Did I get that on any other podcast?
All the part here. All the part here.
Does this for free, too? He does it for free.
Like you have all said, I don't think we'll know unless he's staying in the Mora. It'll probably be late midweek or something, or to the end of next week. By the time we get a wee bit of clarity and stuff. But I think myself personally, and probably a lot of bedwetters, and I include myself in that, the longer it goes on, the more concerned we'll get that he's actually going away and stuff. But anyway, we'll pack that to the side till another day, and let's get talking about what really we're all want to be talking about. A big day tomorrow, and just for the build up of that, we'll just kind of sort of talk about the Scottish Cup, Celtic's history and stuff, just our own sort of personal memories and things. I mean, since the turn of the year and stuff, the century anyway, obviously we won the one against Airdrie and stuff, but the turn of the century we've had quite an old bad run in it and stuff, and quite successful. I mean, any sort of memories for yourself, Ross, that kind of jump out to you? Well, just go and talk about the Airdrie game.
I know. Well, listen, I was going to talk about that, but there is obviously numerous other games. We've done Scottish Cup kind of previews. I don't think we've done I think this is our first final preview as a podcast. But we've done Scottish Cup matches. I think must have played Rangers before, and we've done a big one. And I spoke about obviously the Dundee United game where we beat them 2-1 at Parkhead. I think it was. It might even have been on the run to that 95 final. I think it was.
It was in the quarter.
We won 2-1. We're down 1-0 for a long period of the game, and then obviously, Andres Tom and Van Hooijdonk got late goals, like very late goals. That always sticks in my memory. But I've spoke about that in this podcast before. But another game was it was a Scottish Cup replay. I think we drew 2-2 at Ibrox, and then obviously it was the Lennon McCoist saga on the touchline. But that game, it was absolutely no quality in it. Even Mark Wilson's goal in it was like he hit the first one brilliant. I can't even think it was maybe Papac put the head in it and blocked it, and then he just sort of hits the rebound into the ground. But that game was, I think it was 3 red cards. Obviously the McCoy stuff and that was just absolute madness. There was no quality in it, but it was just one of the games that the referee totally lost control. But I thought it was quite fitting to sort of talk about that 95 final. Obviously, you look at us now, and like we're going for our, what is it, 5th treble in 7 years, I think. Quite remarkable stuff. But you look back and we won that final. It was our first trophy in 6 years, and that sort of, you could say, ignited. That was, I think it was the year after Fergus saved us. We got our first trophy after so long, and it was just iconic. I've watched the game on YouTube, the whole game. Before, a few weeks back, I actually watched it. I was sitting here, a wee drink, me having a drink. Would you believe? But honestly, when you watch that whole game back, Celtic, I mean, Tommy Burns alluded to it in his interview at the end on the pitch. Didn't he play well? He was very disappointed. He was hoping that we could have put on a show against what was an Airdrie side that were nowhere near the quality of Celtic. But they didn't play well in the day. But again, there was a lot of pressure on them. Hadn't they won a trophy in 6 years? But Peter Grant was immense that day. He got man of the match. He put his body in the line right even at the end. He was carrying a bit of a knock, and he just his body in the line, and then you just watch him, the pure raw emotion on the pitch at the end. He was inconsolable. Like we've actually got this over the line. We've finally won a trophy again. Paul McStay, the iconic scene for the back of him, the number 8, and he's gone like that to the fans. Everything about it, it gives me shivers. Think about it. I mean, I was 95. I would have been about 11 or 12-year-old. I think I was coming up for 12, and I can just remember never Celtic won obviously the double in the centenary season. I was too young to remember the actual as winning that, but Tony's wearing the top there. But I can remember sitting. I was in Monclady's, and I can remember sitting on the living room floor and just taking it all in, and I'd never obviously experienced us winning a trophy, and it was I didn't actually think that Celtic could ever do this. I would ever see it happening. I mean, it wasn't hundreds of years or that. Do you know what I mean? But it felt like that. Felt like that. Right, okay, Celtic's my team. This is the team I love. This is the team I'm going to follow the rest of my life. And then there's that period of whatever it is, probably 4 or 5 years for me for realising, right, this is my club, this is the team I want to support, to eventually then winning a trophy. And all that time just watching Rangers sort of demolish us. But that game really, it sticks in the memory. I just remember, as I say, sitting in the living room floor among Monclady's, and just, it was first class. And Tommy Burns, what was the quote he said? It wasn't as famous as the one that Ange had sort of said in his speech last week, but Tommy Burns had said basically, it was it was along the lines of, we've done that for them today, and we've gave them something to go out and party for the first time in a long time, and it was just brilliant. And I don't know if you have ever watched the scenes of the celebrations when they're on the bus and stuff like that, and all the fans are
absolutely
all the fans are up at the window and all that. I'm sure Tommy Burns gets off the bus at one point as well. Unbelievable. And that and just watching Peter Grant on the pitch, inconsolable. That is what it means, and that is what it feels like to be Celtic. It's unbelievable. And now we're here, and we're just chalking up trophy after trophy after trophy, and they guys set the tone.
No, I think it's a game that probably sticks in a lot of your memory just for the ages and stuff like that. I can remember sitting in the living room watching it with mum and dad and that. Just obviously a year or two younger than you, so I don't know if I really properly appreciated it at the time and stuff. I think you alluded to to the other week there, or fairly recently. It was the first trophy of memory that you can remember Celtic winning and stuff, and it'd be the same for probably us, to be fair. The Dundee United game, that sticks in my head because I was actually at that game with my dad and stuff. I think we were still celebrating Pierre's goal by the time Tom had stuck the ball in the net and stuff. It was just mad, and a game that sticks in my memory just for the fact that I watched it in Halifax in a pub. It was the Dunfermline one in 2007 where Doomby scored late on.
Aye.
So it was like my cousin was getting married, and me, my dad, my uncle, and my cousin Paul kind of sat at the back of the wedding and sneaked out and found a pub and caught just the end of the first half and the second half and stuff. And so that was us. We missed the majority of the weddings to sneak away for the football. So that game kind of sticks in my memory. There's obviously plenty other games, but I'll just come to yourself. Well, if there's any sort of games, doesn't need to be final, just anything that kind of the Scottish Cup that sticks in your mind. And before you kind of talk about it, I'm going to nip and shut this kitchen room door and hide these hoops that Pete's talking about.
And the one for me that sticks out more than most is, and I've talked about it before, but it's just the one that's always etched in my memory. It's probably my favourite Scottish Cup memory, and it's a recent one, and it was Rogic's Tam's last minute winner against Aberdeen. And again, like obviously it was a massive achievement, and that was Invincible season, wasn't it? So, and all the emotions going up and down because like Aberdeen went ahead and Armstrong scored, and again personally because I was out with just all my mates. Me and Tony, we were at Malone's in Glasgow for it, and it was jam packed, and the build up beforehand, everybody was singing. It was as if you were in an actual stadium. It was electric, and when Rogic scored, I ended up 20 feet from all my pals cuddling. You know, it's like it's just mayhem, and I was fucking in tears. Tony was in tears. And it's just the best way to win a football match, and it's just it'll forever be etched in my memory. And the goal itself as well, even better with the Titanic music. Although Stephen shouldn't be putting it up on here again.
Copyright issues.
Yes, and died.
It's just magic, and like I say, it's standard Celtic roller coaster of emotions. It's never ever easy. For a while, it's like I was thinking the worst. To go the whole season unbeaten and then fall at the last hurdle would have been hard to take. But the team, as they have done in recent memory, they just keep going. And for us to score a goal, if Messi scored that goal, we'd be talking about it for years and years and years to come. And it was your magician, Rogic, that done it, and it was just a magic memory for me, especially just being there on it. Like, there's not an elation like celebrating an important Celtic goal with your mates. There's nothing like it. There's not a feeling like it in the world. And that one in particular was just every emotion going through your body, excitement, elation, tears of joy, and pints flowing. It was just magic, and that's like I said on Monday night. I said people outside the football and outside the two Glasgow clubs especially give the derby a bad rep when the majority of us love our team. And for me, it's moments like that with your best mates, which I'll experience tomorrow. I've experienced the last couple of years with you guys in here. There's nothing like it, and that's what it's all about for me. And that one was the one that sticks out most. My dad was there as well. I experienced some unbelievable moments with my dad, and we had the season ticket and seen certain games, but that was special. So that always sticks in my mind, even though it's a recent one. That's the one that's always top of the list for me.
No, I think it's probably the top of the list for a lot of folk, considering the significance and stuff. Like you said, well, you were talking about completed the Invincible treble and things like that. And I think we randomly watched it in yours bit with your Uncle Eddie, Ross. I don't know how we won at the pub. I don't know.
Was Uncle Eddie there, was he?
I feel like he was, No, sorry, that was a Rangers game we watched in your house for some random reason. Your Uncle Eddie was
I thought it was maybe just me and you. I don't know why it was just us two, but it was obviously a reason. Probably fell out with everybody because we're dicks. But...
Anthony,
I can vouch for that.
Probably. He's only want to be on pub watch for Gracies.
Wally, it's Ross. Am I still barred? Yes.
No, Ross, gotta get barred, man.
Can I get your keg machine, Ross? But Anthony, I'll come to you. And like Wally was saying, watching the football with your friends, you can't basically. It's also gone to the football with your dad, and that's a generational thing. It was kind of your dad that took you to the football and stuff. That's what you loved and things. That's you kind of grew up getting into football and the team that you supported. So having the memories, like Wally was saying, go to the games with his dad and go to cup finals with dad. The cup finals are always showpiece events. So when you can share them with family and things like that, obviously me and Ross had a couple together when we were at season ticket holders. We managed to get, after we were season ticket holder, we managed to get the treble one it was, the Encham goal. The Edward goal, the Hearts game. We were at that game.
We were at that.
I managed to get a ticket.
Your car was going to go on fire that day.
That's right. I thought my car was going to go fire sitting in traffic. I was like, what's going on here? And I was actually at the Motherwell game, so I'd managed to get a couple of cup final tickets after getting my season ticket. But like Wally said, when you're watching it with friends, whether that be at the game or just in their company, you can't whack at Anthony. And so I mean, I don't know if there's any ones that the boys talked about or any other memories that you've got at the Scottish Cup or Celtic in it.
Well, so many, mate. Some obviously the ones the boys that I've mentioned already. A wee bit like what the guy was saying about your dad just seen that go up. Gotta be good that up, man. Jesus.
100% money's receiving,
100%. Bookies are taking no odds on that. But in terms of the Scottish Cup itself, Franny, it's one of the reasons like why I love Scottish football as much as I do. My earliest memory, probably ironically, was when it was after a bad season for Celtic. It was at the 96-97 when we lost the Falkirk in the semi-final, but then they played Kilmarnock in the final, and it was an absolutely scorching day. And always remember like watching that game, like the whole build-up to it and stuff. And even if Celtic aren't in it, it's an event that I do try and kind of tune in for anyway. I think it's I don't know what it is about it. I quite like. I've got the same kind of feeling about the FA Cup down south as well. I think there's something about the main cup competition that's pretty magical. And as the boys have already said, especially who you watch it with, helps make it. So I've been kind of to and froing with a few to bring up, but I'm probably going to have to tell a story that I've told before we went visual right enough, so folk might not mind it. And it's because it's quite a unique one, and it's something that I'd like, certainly for the health of the world, if nothing else, that ever happens again. But I'll bring it right back up to the last time we lifted it, which was December 2020. And I remember it because it was played on the 21st, and my grand's birthday's the 22nd of December, God rest her. And we lost her that year. And everyone will remember it was in the midst of, the COVID pandemic and empty stadiums and all that. Hence why the final was from the previous May was getting played that Christmas. And as you all know my dad well, who will be watching it with tomorrow. Hi, Dad. He's massive Celtic fan, but he doesn't touch alcohol. And but the year that we stopped to 10, way back in '98, as a present, he'd received that they'd released some sort of special collector's edition whiskey, and it sat and been a kind of gathered dust on the drinks cabinet for all the years since. I think he always said if we'd won in Seville, he maybe would have opened it, but needless to say, up until then it remained closed. And we'd spoke about it on the essence of we'd lost to Ross County that previous November, a couple of weeks before, so we knew that there wouldn't be a treble happening, even though we were miles behind in the league anyway. So this was probably going to bookend, a quadruple treble and be, an amazing part in Celtic's history. So we kind of agreed that if Celtic won that day, that we would, we'd open it, and not only would we toast the quadruple treble, but toast wee Granny's first heavenly birthday as well. And we thought everything was going swimmingly at half time. We thought, it's fine, we better get the glasses looked out. And then it ended up becoming a wee bit sketchy, as we all remember. But as Lindsay will tell you, the the reaction I did when Chris Ayer hits the winning penalty. It was like an out of body experience, man. Just because I was so desperate to open this bottle and toast her in the proper way. So that's the one that kind of sticks out for me. And I was asking him last week when we were there for Trophy Day. I says, how much did we drink that night? And he says apparently there's about half the bottle left. So the rest of it will be getting tanned tomorrow if we make a world record. But no, it's business. You remember all of these special occasions, and like you say, we're very lucky. They come around more often than they do for a lot of football clubs, not just in Scotland. But yeah, I think I said that previously about when you win the leagues, it's something we're used to, but we'll never ever tire of.
And I thought I don't subscribe to this one where folks say, "Oh, how can you get bored of winning?" You've got to embrace it. You've got to enjoy it every time. And like you boys have touched on, great memories like Scottish Cup. It's the showpiece event, if you like. It closes the season thing. It gives you that sort of lasting memory going into summer and stuff. It'll not give us the bragging rights, of course, but it might give us another trophy. So,
you're saving that up for the last 40 minutes.
I can scrub that one off. I can scrub that up.
No beating that. Good night.
Okay, that's me. I'm out. All good memories and stuff you just said. It has, like you say, it's especially in the millennium. It's been quite a favourable tournament for us. We've done pretty well in it and stuff, and it kind of leads us on to sort of what we could achieve the more which is another treble, which is just some folk kind of have normalised them. It seems to be a barometer of sort of success and sort of the younger sort of fan base, which I suppose there's no fault with theirs. It's kind of all they've known guys like, I hate to say it, but guys like Stephen and stuff, it's just grew up in success. And it's kind of... I know, but you're relying on me for a lift back to the bus station. I've got a free hit here.
Yeah.
I think it has become a sort of a measuring stick, it seems, for success. And I appreciate, obviously, we are potentially, like you touched on, Marcelo, going for our 5th in 7 years, which it sounds like you do it pretty regular, but it just so happens we've done it so regular recently and stuff. I mean, the first time we done it was like 67, then again in 68 we obviously Jock Stein and stuff. But I mean, you chucked the European Cup in with that as well, so that was a no bad. That was like, I think we won 5 trophies that year or something. I think it was something in that.
Right.
So the European Cup, but then obviously you don't win another one till the 2001 when Martin O'Neill comes in. So that just shows you that it's no something that's easily done, and there's no many managers done it. Like I said, Jock Stein's done it, Martin O'Neill's done it, Lennon's done it, and potentially now Ange is on the brink of it and stuff. So it's just coming to yourself. It's just try and explain how much achievement, just not necessarily winning the treble tomorrow, what that's going to do for Celtic. We'll kind of touch on that after, but just not how important a treble is, but just what it kind of means to win a treble and how difficult it is to actually achieve something.
Well, that's it, Franny. You hear it so often, especially on the likes of your Sky Sports and stuff. It's a lot of the time very much an afterthought. Celtic are going for a treble tomorrow. It's even Alistair Johnson sort of touched on that in his press of the day. He says sometimes people talk about that as if it's a given and like it's just something normal that happens. But as you say, up until 2017, we'd only won it 3 times. We'd only done it 3 times in the previous 130 odd years by that point. So it just shows you how difficult a task it is to do. And for a long time, we always had the sort of monopoly on league and Scottish Cup doubles. You talk about the double winning team 8-8. But if there's one thing that you can, there's so many things you can praise Brendan Rodgers for. No matter what anyone feels about him, but he made winning a treble. Like you say, but about how Stephen's generational view, something pretty normal. It's something that we should always been aspiring to do. But for us that are maybe the odd couple of years older, it still, for me, just feels like an incredible achievement, because you just don't know when the next one will come along. And it can take just one tricky away tie, a bad refereeing performance, Celtic being off their game one day, a collection of all three. You're out of competition, and then that dream dies for another season. So when they come around, like it does this year, and we've got the chance to do it again tomorrow, you want to grab it with both hands. The season's been building and building, and it'll be building to a crescendo tomorrow, where we can put the cherry on top of a very big cake and have all the silverware back at Parkhead, where we think, obviously, it belongs. If you're just using it in terms of the treble itself, obviously, like you say, it's a world record. Celtic and the original Rangers are tied on 7 now, and we want to, overtake that. But just even with regards to the amount of trophies we win, and just getting over that line, it's something I'll never tire of seeing us doing. As I say, I remember that one that Wally spoke about in 2017 in Malone's, and you thought that was incredible. And then Brendan, started the monopoly really on Scottish football. He backed it up. We won in a double treble and didn't get manager of the year. Make it that what you will. He obviously left us. Lenny came in, done the same, got the treble over the line, and then went and won one of his own. So his place in the history books is secured as well. It's a very small club, a very elite club, and Ange has got the chance of joining it tomorrow. And believe you me, if it does, I'm sure like you guys will no sober up for a good couple of weeks.
Nah, you're right, and you touched on a good point there, Anthony, about how a decision, just one wee deflection, something like that could go against you, and that's you a cup tie, essentially. Obviously, the league campaign, you've got other games to make that up, but in a cup game, I think that one of the decisions could go against you. Just look at Dialogue, funny enough, against Inverness Califistle as well, wasn't it? Where it's a blatant handball, and we actually had the officials behind the goals at that point, around like the sort of byline at the time, and he was a bad decision away for guaranteeing a treble. And I suppose you can maybe then go look at it to say then get more time after the sort of Rangers. That I know that happened after that, but then have more credit in the bank after that Rangers defeat and things, and you maybe didn't get Rodgers. It's all, as Ross would say, conjecture, I guess. But anyway, come to yourself, Ross. How does winning a treble rank for you? How difficult it is? Like Cam says, like a dodgy decision can go against you and it can cost you in a game, and that's it, gone.
Well, first of all, after saying conjecture on the first episode that I was ever on, I'm never going to live it down. I've never used it since. But that's what I say. But, no, listen, Anthony, bang on. Trebles are very difficult to win. Celtic have normalised it. You touched on the Inverness game, and obviously Ronnie Dyler could have been a part of that elite club. I remember distinctly and embarrassingly absolutely having probably one of the biggest meltdowns I've ever had on Facebook after that game. It actually came up in my memories the other day. I can't mind how many years ago it was, but do you know that way when your memories come up and you go, you were a fucking roaster, son.
It's a daily occurrence for me, kid.
And by the way, in 10 years' time, some of the stuff I put on the now, I'll probably think the same again. But I lost it that day. I really did lose it because it was wrong. Celtic, in my opinion, got cheated that day. And I said, like, this is why Celtic haven't won as many trebles in their history. Because when it comes to the business end of the season, the officials do everything in their power to stop it happening. But Celtic have stepped all over that point in recent times. And like I said, they've won 5 and 7 years. And I mean, we spoke about the 95 Scottish Cup final. We won it. And then obviously we had a wee period again. And then we won a double. And the season we stopped to 10, and then again with another period. And I think the next time we won anything was the treble under Martin O'Neill. And you get the gaps, and I think since we had the trophyless season 2003 when we got to Seville. I can't remember, I could be wrong, but I can't remember many other seasons since then that we've went an entire season without winning anything. Obviously, there was the COVID season. But before that, I can't remember much. I don't really recall.
I think you're right. There's not been many, mate. I think Mowbray's season.
So
when Lenny took over. You're right.
So you're talking for 2003, so we're talking 20 years. Maybe 2 seasons where we've not won a trophy. That's incredible when you look back at what going through the 90s, what I grew up with. Listen, I've said it before in this podcast. My dad is a Rangers supporter, and I lived obviously with my dad through the 90s. But next door, a really nice guy, by the way, don't get me wrong, but my next door neighbour was in the orange, what do you call it? He was in the orange walk and all that, and he used to practice his flute. And obviously, I was a young guy. I'd be at the back playing football, and I can always remember them coming out and going, "That's us done the 8," and all of that. And it was torture, absolute torture. And now we're living through this, and I'm at an age where I can have a beer with my mates and really soak it in. I had a season ticket for 6 years. My wee girl came along. I had to give it up. I had no option. I'm in a position now where I could have a season ticket again, but obviously we've got such a big waiting list. It's very difficult. But going on this podcast and doing this with you guys, and even all the guys, the input, and girls having their input, it's a, I don't know what the word is, but it's like a safe space where you can just soak it all in and build up, and it's great. And then, I mean, we're living the days of our lives, to be perfectly honest with you, and it won't last forever, but we're in the mid-state still, and I think I said it on Monday night as well. We're in the mid-state now, and I expect it to go on for a number of years yet, because Rangers, they might come back and do what Celtic done and build again, but right now it doesn't look like they're doing that, because they're basically spending money that they don't have for me. And listen, soak this up. It's the days of our lives, and it's absolutely brilliant. And I really hope that we can get another one over the line tomorrow. As I said earlier in the podcast, greatest respect to Inverness, but if we don't do that, that'll be one of the biggest disappointments in my Celtic supporting career.
No, I kind of agree. I think I said that on a podcast fairly recently. I think not the season would be a failure, but it would be a failure not to win, considering the opposition. But just to come to yourself, Willie, just to kind of get your thoughts on what the guys said. I think Ross was touching on some good points. I think Martin Nugent made a good point about how we have actually made winning a treble quite normal, in the fact that how the regularity we've done it in fairly recent years. And Ross has always kind of touches on how much football's kind of cycles and stuff. Obviously, Celtic might be, since the sort of millennium, maybe just be on a cycle. It's a big cycle when you look at it. And I seen a stat, I think it was Patrick McLaughlin said about the amount of trophies. I was trying to do a quick count, and I think it was like since like 2017, or well, when the start of that, I think it's about I think since the start of that season anyway, I think it's about 16 or 18 trophies, and about the potential 21 that we've actually won, which is just absolute madness when you actually think about it. So I just to kind of get your thoughts on what the guys were kind of talking about how hard a treble is to do, as much as we've been successful in doing it recently, how hard it is to actually do it.
It's ridiculous. The fact that we've normalised it is the most ridiculous thing. Honestly, we've been absolutely spoiled rotten. It's like, I mean, even when Sevco had all their issues and moved down divisions, you're thinking that we should be clearing up then, and we didn't. Lennon didn't do it at that time as well, and you think we should be dominating at that point, and we're not. And the fact that we've done it, and like, it's honestly ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous that we've won however many trebles in the last. This is going for 5 and 7 years.
5 and 7. Aye.
What?
I know.
That's not right.
And one of the 2 years that we didn't do it, we won 2 out of 3. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Absolutely mind blowing. And I think you're right. And we're kind of a victim of our own success because there is a lot of people that just expect it now. But with every passing season we do, it still just blows my mind. This season we've been absolutely relentless, and for 4 weeks into the season, I've believed that we're going to do it because of the football that Ange's got us playing. It's just been magic. It's been relentless. It's ruthless. It's everything you want to come and see as a fan. Entertaining. It's just, I mean, like I say, if I go back to even then, where we should be clearing up, or you think we should be clearing up, it's no disrespect to any of the other teams in the league, because like you say, on any given day, any team can beat anybody. But back then with Lennon, it was a decent side, and you think they should be clearing up, but they didn't. And I just think this team and the football that Ange has us playing, it's as good as I've ever seen at Celtic Park. And it's ridiculous that you go into every game. I've said it a few times in the podcast this season. I could see us going 3-0 down to teams and still think we've got a chance of winning it, which is a ridiculous statement. Absolutely ridiculous statement. But the football
Man United in the 90s.
Aye, it's just unbelievable. And it's right. And Ange got laughed at, absolutely laughed at for half the country when that first training session came out, and he says we didn't stop till half time, and then we'll stop at half time, we'll stop at full time. And it's exactly what he's done. He's implemented it, and it's just an unbelievable time to be a Celtic fan. I mean, what are Sevco fans got to be doing tomorrow?
I know.
It's just magic, but it's an absolute ridiculous. See, if you told me 8-10 years ago that we're going to win 5 trebles in the next however many years, it's not possible, and we've made it possible. It's ridiculous how we've, the fact that we're talking about it and it's been normalised is the most ridiculous thing. But we have, and it's testament to the club, the team, everybody involved. I mean, we're the best team in Scotland by a country mile, and we have been for a long, long time. And what more can you say? I can't even. The fact again that it's normalised. The more honestly, I'm never speechless, but the fact that it's normalised blows my mind. It is the most ridiculous statement.
Because Ross is just getting a wee bit excited up in that top corner. You can just see him he's soaking it on. It's just it's good to see. It's true. Well, it's what you say. We have normalised it due to our success, and it's testament to everybody who's been part of that and stuff. And it's a great time. It's been a great period. It's been quite a long period, but it's been, especially in the recent years, it's been a great time to be a Celtic fan and stuff. But we'll just we'll move on to tomorrow's game and stuff, and what it means, how immortality awaits. Like Anthony was touching on earlier, but we've all kind of touched on it. It's potentially to win a world record, eighth treble. Yes, some folk will maybe touch on, like, there's other leagues. I think it's Italy and France have not, and maybe Germany didn't play for 3 trophies. But I mean, that's not our fault. It's kind of been a British tradition where you've got a League Cup. It's always been there and stuff. You can only, as I say, only could play for the trophy you can win that are there. And so I'll come to yourself, Ross. Looking at tomorrow's game and that kind of touch it, but just kind of start with, or however you want it, but like, what does tomorrow mean for Celtic, for the fans, for the team and stuff like that, if you do achieve that illustrious eighth treble, which we should do, considering the opposition, like you said earlier, you couldn't have handpicked the opposition better, really.
Aye, listen, the Mora means everything, like every other trophy. How can I look at it this way, right? How much we all love Ange Postecoglou, right? Certainly us. I can speak for us in this podcast. I can't speak for everybody else, but we love Ange Postecoglou, right? We do not want him to leave, right? But if you asked me if Celtic lost the final tomorrow and it put Daniel Levy off Ange Postecoglou and we kept him, would you give up the trophy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I wouldn't, because listen, you wouldn't. No, I know, but you're thinking you might. I am not giving up a Scottish Cup final to win another treble against a team for a league below us to get a world record for our club, to lose all of that, keep Ange, right, fair enough, but have to listen to them slagging our season and all the rest of it as well. They would jump all over that because we lost to a team a league below us. No, and I just wouldn't give it up. Even if they didn't jump all over it, I wouldn't give that up because Ange knows himself. He said it in his presser. Like, it doesn't matter what I say right now. It won't matter one single bit if we don't go out and win that final on Saturday. Celtic have to. Listen, Ange Postecoglou is an amazing guy. He's an amazing manager. He's an elite manager. I know I'm getting away from the point here a wee bit. But listen, nobody's bigger than the club. And us winning a treble tomorrow is unbelievable. And for it to be a world record, wow. That just puts us in a bracket of our own. And people can say who you're playing against, your league, the quality and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. Celtic don't possess a team like, I know Celtic are a good bit ahead of other teams in this country, but they don't possess a team like Man City or stuff like that. So as far as Man City are ahead of teams in their league, Celtic are the same. Although they're not playing the same quality, the gap between Celtic and the rest of our league, there's not much difference between the gap between Man City and the rest of the English league. You can only beat who's in front of you. And Celtic
Funny
are
how
doing that.
sorry, mate. Funny how our league's a farmers' league though, and the English Premier League isn't. No,
Aye. Listen, that really bugs me. You look at the leagues all around Europe, right? They go on about this being a two-horse race, and it is. But Bayern Munich have won the Bundesliga 11 in a row. Juventus done 9. I know. Listen, and I know you can look at it and go, right, Man City have won the last 5 out of 6 or whatever. And there is, certainly in England, there has been the odd club that's won it every now and again. You could talk about a Leicester, a Chelsea, things like that. But generally, there's only a handful of teams that win it. Scotland's no different, but they just get, they get pigeonholed all the time. The gap, like I say, the gap between Celtic and the rest of the league is similar to the gap between Man City and the rest of their league in all other countries around the world. Look at PSG, how many have they won? Look at the gap. It's just they've got better quality. So we get, again, pigeonholed for not having the same quality, but that just comes down to the league. But back to tomorrow's game. When we on the drill tomorrow weekend.
I love Ailey Barber, by the way.
I didn't like her outfit last week. It was horrendous.
Good one.
Aye. No, so what was the question again, Franny? Was it just talking about the game?
I will kind of
veered off.
What I'll do is I'll come back to you on the game. I'll just kind of get everybody else's thoughts on what a treble means, what tomorrow means to them if we actually achieve the treble and, as you say, immortality, become world record breakers. So I'll just kind of come straight to yourself, Wally. What would it mean to you if Celtic wrap up the treble and it's treble number 8 in the history books? Like Ross said, the opposition, folk can argue about the level of the opposition, but in years to come, the record books will show, yes, Inverness Caley Thistle's name will be in it, but what first folk will look at it first, go, Celtic were the winners, that made them world record breakers. Nobody cared about the teams, really.
It's unbelievable. It is. Like we talked about it being normalised recently by the team, but I never ever take any of it for granted. I celebrate everyone as if it's their first. It's just magic. I mean, that's what football teams are in the business today, is to win trophies, and the fact that we have been flying through them recently and to be in the record books yet again. We always talk about plastic teams or whatever the term is, that there's no history and all the rest of it. We've got an abundance of history. One of the biggest teams in world football because of that. And for us to keep continuing that and building the legacy of this club, a lot of people have said, I've brought up comments earlier on, that people will be talking about this era for years to come. They'll talk about this team like they talk about the Lisbon Lions. when we're old and grey and we've got our grandkids, we'll be telling them about when Ange Postecoglou came in, when Martin O'Neill came in, and this era in particular, because we've won all these trebles, we'll be talking about that. They'll have their new Ronaldos, but we'll be saying, like all the elder statesmen talk about Jinky, we'll talk about when Tam Rogic scored that goal in the Scottish Cup final, and when this, and that's what it's all about. It's a legacy, and it's a club, and we'll talk about it for years to come. And like Ross said, we were in the doldrums when we were all younger. If you told me when I was a boy that we'd be winning trophies like this, I'd have laughed you. I laughed you at the house, because it wasn't looking like that back then. And then even under Tommy Burns, we were playing unbelievable football, electric football, but we weren't winning anything. And the fact that we do it now, it's mind-boggling, the amount of trophies we've won. Absolutely mind-boggling. And tomorrow's no different. And like I said on Monday, the Scottish Cup for me, when I was a boy running about the park, it was always, and this is a goal to win the Scottish Cup. Obviously the league's the main priority, but for me, the dream was always playing in a Scottish Cup final, and it's just as important for me. And for us to go and do it again tomorrow and cement ourselves in history as being the first club to reach that milestone, I mean, there's no a better feeling. There can't be a better feeling than that. And then, what's to say we don't do it again next year or the year after?
Oh,
unbelievable, Jeff.
It's because it's like you say, it's
a pub. It's not a garage, right? I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, buddy. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, mate.
Yep.
As madness what you're saying there, Wally, just how it could be a world record, but what's to say we will only go and break our own world record next season, because only everybody else thinks Celtic won't improve on our squad this season. Apart from Celtic fans, we know we'll improve, so we're the benchmark, so to speak. We're only got to get better and stuff. But coming to yourself, Anthony, what does tomorrow mean to you if we get out of the line? Like Wally was saying there about how Scottish Cup, when he played football as a young lad, it is kind of the showpiece event. It's a last game of the sort of football calendar and stuff. But what the fact that you can then win a treble and it be a world record treble, what does that mean for you as a Celtic fan?
Oh, everything, mate. Absolutely everything. And by all accounts, it's going to be an absolute scorcher tomorrow, so Sean Batty says on the STV News. So always, like you said, the showpiece occasion.
He's a lying prick, that Sean Batty.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to the barbecue.
Everybody else's, obviously bar Inverness's season domestically is now over. There's only one competition left to play for. We always know the league, of course, is the main thing. That's your bread and butter. Your Scottish Cup's just your slice of Wolves Viennetta at the end. But there's just something about it that's I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that it's the oldest trophy in world football, or the design's never changed, or the fact that we've won it the most times or whatever. But there's just something I love about the Scottish Cup. I think it's a beautiful trophy, and it never looks any better than when it's draped in green and white ribbons. And so many of our amazing moments in our history, when you watch back, the clips on YouTube, or sure a lot of us have had the old VHSs and DVDs in the house scattered about somewhere. And so many of our amazing days is built around winning the Scottish Cup at Hampden. And it isn't until probably you start getting to the age we are now, and you think, but when you watch these older games and you go, it must have been amazing to be there, or what must that have been like? And then, you realise that we're living in that now. There's a really famous quote when they ask about Paul McCartney gets asked nowadays, we're like, what was it like being in the Beatles? What was it like? And they say, well, that was just the norm. That's just what we did. Don't know what it was like to anybody else, but that was what it was like to us. And as Wally sort of touched, 20, 30 years, folk will be like, what was it like, going to the games or watching the games or, doing a podcast around these years, and we'll just be like, well, it's just the norm, wasn't it? It's just what we did. But you never take any of it for granted. And as the boy says, we know we if there is anybody from Inverness watching tonight, we're really not trying to say that we are giving the team the ultimate respect. We don't think that we know that there's a football match to be played, put it that way, and we know we've had our fingers burned on more than one occasion with Inverness, but we're not being disrespectful by saying anyone on paper would know that Celtic are the big favourites, and the way that our manager, his character is, and the way that he's got this team drilled, it seems as though, certainly for the outside looking in, that they're fully focused and they're not going to let any of the outside noise distract them. And when you put all that together, you would say that we've got a very, very good chance of doing that world record, like you mentioned, Franny. And listen, all joke aside, I didn't realise it was a world record up until a few weeks ago when Viaplay put the graphic up. I knew that we would obviously, if we do it tomorrow, we'll take over Rangers, but I don't pay attention to much other, domestic scenes. But it's something, for the last 135 years that we've did, for that very first team, that won our first title, and then you look into the 6 in a row winning team, the early 1900s. You then look, obviously, the Lisbon Lions are the absolute, zenith of the team. But then we've had some great teams since then, the Quality Street Gang, the double winning team, 88, Tommy's Entertainers, Martin's Trailblazers, and then obviously Gordon getting us into the Champions League 3 seasons in a row. Everything Lenny achieved as a player and a manager, Brendan's Invincibles, and now it's Ange's time. And I think that this team, this current group of players, have earned the right to take their place in amongst that group. These great teams that we all remember through the generations, and everyone will tell you about great moments that they've had following them. I hope, because I think these guys deserve it, I hope that the manager and the players get their moment in the Hampden Sun tomorrow, and take their places. They'll be known as the record breakers or the world record holders or whatever we want to call them. There's a chance of an 8th treble tomorrow. It's beyond the imagination, but we get to live it tomorrow, provided we turn up and do the business.
You're bang on, Anthony. I'll just I'll come straight back at you just tomorrow. Mm-hmm. It's Hampden in the Sun. Just how do you see the game going? I mean, we know nothing about Inverness Califissels we spoke about before we came on.
Absolutely. This is not our good pal Phil McGinley's Nostalgia show, which is all well researched and it's all facts and stats, or Tony the Celtic by numbers. Couldn't tell. I know Billy Dodds is the manager and that they've not made the playoffs. I think that's what we've kind of got. But listen, it's a name that sends shivers down the spine. And I was there the night in 2000, and then of course 2003. Thursday night, you're beating Liverpool at Anfield on your way to a European final. Sunday night, you're up in the pissing rain in Inverness, getting knocked out the Scottish Cup in the quarterfinals. Life comes at you fast. And then, of course, as the boys have touched on earlier, the daylight robbery at Hampden when we were 1-0 up and cruising, and then Lee Griffiths' goal-bound header. Brilliant block shot. I mean, Scottie Pippen would have been proud of the block, but needless to say, that didn't warrant a penalty, incredibly. But as you say, it's funny how these things turn out. Like you say, Franny, if we had done the treble that year, perhaps you don't get Brendan, and all of these things all come into play. You wonder sometimes if it's all part of one big master plan. But in terms of tomorrow, as I say, I think the fact as well that Inverness haven't played football for nigh on, I think it's 4 weeks now. The news was saying earlier on, will obviously have an effect. I'm sure Billy Dodds will have them, training as hard as they can, but they are going up against a very slick, very well-oiled Celtic side at the moment. I know we've had a couple of injury worries and stuff, but I just think, with 40-odd thousand, I think it's going to be, we go right round obviously the traditional Celtic end, down the touchline, and then right down about 3/4 of the Rangers end we have tomorrow as well. I think there's about 40,000+ Celtic supporters going to be there tomorrow in the Hampden Sun, with history beckoning. Listen, that stranger things have happened, but at this moment in time, I would have to say I'm quite confident of a Celtic victory, shall I say.
Nah, I think we all are, Anthony. It's like you say, it's the opposition. You should be wiping the floor with them, in my opinion. It should be a foregone conclusion what the result is tomorrow. I'll come to yourself, Ross, and hopefully Danny lose your train of thought this time. And How are you seeing the game tomorrow and stuff?
What was I saying again?
I tell you, your nonsense.
Aye. No, listen, the Mora, like Anthony says, it's no disrespect to Inverness, but I fully expect Celtic to win. I think we had the furore of the 3 games where we tinkered. As I said on Monday night, Ange earned the right to do that. But I can't see anything but a Celtic win tomorrow. I just think, as I say, that furore, and then when it mattered, on Trophy Day, they turned up and they absolutely demolished the 3rd best team in Scotland in Aberdeen. I don't even think Aberdeen had a shot on goal. I might be wrong, but I watched the game and I don't recall a shot on goal. Well, there you go. So Aberdeen, a far better team than Inverness. Like I've said before, this Celtic team under Ange, other than the semi-final last year, where they just fell short, but certainly this season, when it matters, this Celtic team turn up every time, and I expect it to be taken care of by half-time, and it'll be up to Celtic whether they want to, for want of a better phrase, put the foot in the neck and really put Inverness to the sword, or if they just are happy with their 3 or 4 goal lead that they'll accumulate at half-time and take pity in Inverness. I really think that they'll turn up, the sun, the colour, the fans, the noise, Angie's pre-match or in the video room, whatever, and then Cal McGregor, Gene the boys up in the dressing room beforehand, letting them all know what it means, whether Angie's there or no. This club, we'll just turn up tomorrow. I just really believe we will, and Inverness do not stand a chance. It's like me going in to the ring against Mike Tyson. There's only going to be one winner, and it's going to be over very quickly. I really believe that's going to happen tomorrow, and we'll all be cuddling and partying by half time.
I know, I can't disagree with that, Ross. I mean, as I said, I can't say anything but a Celtic win tomorrow and stuff, and I think you make good points about how Angie's teams turn up when it matters. Tomorrow matters. Well, we'll be down at your place watching it. How do you see the game going, mate?
I'll take this half here. What's going to happen is we're going to win at least 6-0, and then a reporter's going to put a mic like this in front of Angie's face. Say what's going on. He's going to go, well, bloody hell, mate, with bloody speculation over the past few weeks, mate, about my fucking future, you know. And I'll tell you something, we never fucking stop because I've just signed for another 3 years, mate.
I tell you, Willie, you'll get a gig in Neighbours, no bother.
I didn't do that to Ange when he goes like this. And he goes,
I just looks at them.
bloody hell, mate. Yeah, I'm just going to get the game going, mate, tonight.
Fuck's sake.
Don't get that on any other podcast.
That's the half-time entertainment sorted tomorrow.
Well, Bazza's not there to play the guitar while he's in entertainment tomorrow.
Aye.
I have to say, Franny, everyone always talks about, that the Hampden playing surface, ahead of a cup final. Looking at Willie's playing surface there, there's none of you have got any excuses not to perform tomorrow. Look at that.
Listen,
your looking tremendous, my man.
Immaculate.
Tony, I'm Premier League. That doesn't belong in the Premier League. That fucking artificial shite.
The paint job.
Yeah.
Job's immaculate.
Oh, unbelievable. Who was that? Me? Aye.
He must have got something to fix that.
Aye, on with your show, kid, for a day.
I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Like we've said throughout, it's got to be watching the game with our mates and stuff. But what we'll do is we'll just We'll go round the house. We'll start with yourself, Ross. We'll get we'll get our team lineups. I've not heard any injuries. Whether I don't know if Johnson and Kyle are fit. We'll just, for the sake of we'll assume they're fit anyway, and we'll just, as I say, give us your starting lineup and your score prediction.
Well, first of all, I won't assume they're fit. I'll tell you that Johnston's fit and Kyogo hasn't trained this week, but he's, as Ange said, bullish, and he'll decide. He'll let Ange know if he's ready, much like the League Cup final last year, where he had the hamstring injury and he came in and scored a double. Listen, if he hasn't trained all week, Kyogo will be okay. I think it's the last game of the season. Ange will play him. In terms of the lineup, I think it will be, well, Kyogo will be in it. But it'll be Joe Hart in goals, Johnston, Starfelt, and I think it's not going to happen, right? But I would have played Stephen Welsh weeks ago and started him in this game. I've played Stephen Welsh after the Kobayashi performance at Ibrox. I would have played Stephen Welsh for then on in at centre half. It won't happen. I think Iwata will start. I think purely because he played against Aberdeen last week. I think he'll get the nod there, and then it'll be Greg Taylor at left back. Your midfield three, I think, will be Cal McGregor, Rio Hatate, and Matt O'Reilly. Picks itself really, especially with Aaron Moy not being fit at all. And then the front three will be Jota, Kyogo, and Maeda for me. And the score will be, I'm going to go. I really don't like being this confident, because it could come back and bite you, especially when you're saying it on a platform like this, when we've got like 2 folk watching us. But I'm going to go 8-0 Celtic, and Kyogo over 2 goals in the game for Kyogo.
Who did you say you were playing Kobayashi or Iwata at centre half?
Iwata.
All right. Nah. I'll come to you, Willie. What's your lineup and score, mate?
I think I'm the same team. I'm the same as Ross. I wouldn't hear Iwata at centre half, but I reckon he will play there. And I know I was really, really impressed with Kobayashi when he first came in, and his wee cameos here and there. I thought he did really, really well, but he obviously had a couple of bad games there. But for me, I mean, I don't know what that does for his confidence, just dropping him and playing. And I know Iwata's played at centre half before, and I don't really know the history of where he plays. But for me, he's a centre mid all day, so I wouldn't have him in there. But I reckon he will play in there, especially with the opposition. I don't think it's tough an ask, and I think we'll have 90% of the ball. So to have somebody that's as good with the ball as he isn't a bad thing at the back, because we're not going to be needing much going back the way, I don't think, personally. So I reckon it will be Hart, Johnson, Iwata, Starfelt, Greg Taylor. Got to give a nod. I know we're going to be doing end of season stuff and end of season awards, but Greg Taylor has been absolutely fabulous this year. Midfield three of Calmac, Hatate, and O'Reilly for me. Jota on the right, Maeda on the left, and Kyogo up front. And I reckon I would take a 1-0 off Starfelt's arse right now. But and I've got a funny feeling, I don't know why, the pit in my stomach, that it's going to be like just a 2-0 win, but nothing more. But I'm going to go 6. And Kyogo's going to I think Kyogo's going to bury them by half time, and then Ho can come on for half an hour and do a bit of damage himself.
And it very well might be a 1-0. Well, like, there's no many cup finals in the past where teams, like, if you look at every cup final, no many teams run away with it and stuff. But I'll just come to yourself, Anthony. What's your line-up and score prediction?
Well, my team's the exact same. as the boys, Franny, I think it'll be very much full strength. Well, as full strength as is readily available. All you can hope for on the day, that as the boys said, as long as this time tomorrow we're celebrating a world record 8th treble, I'm not too fussed. Although we talk about the great days that we had when we beat Hearts and we beat Aberdeen to win the invincible treble and the treble. But I have to say it was a lot easier on the Harp when we were 2-0 up after 20 minutes against Motherwell in 2018. So it's maybe not great for living long in the ages, but certainly for the old Harp, I would take that kind of thing tomorrow. So purely for the fact that normally when I predict that we have a good day at the house at the office, I'll say a hassle-free 2-0, but hopefully it's a little bit more comfortable than that.
That's Dan, by the way.
I was just going to say, do you know that guy?
But wherever anyone's watching it tomorrow, whether you're going along to the match or whether you're watching it in the house or in the pub or with family or friends, loved ones, I hope everyone that's tuned in tonight and all the Celtic family have a great day. Here's to echo the words of Jock Stein. Let's make this one we'll all remember.
Aye, let's do it. And
I've got a funny feeling I won't remember much of tomorrow.
I've went in the exact same team. I think last week showed us that Awata's got to play at centre half, and like you said, well, I don't think we'll be under a lot of pressure, and it probably makes a wee bit sense to have somebody that's maybe better on the ball just playing in there. But let's be silly. I'm going to go 10. Get the illustrious 10. Let's just go silly, yeah.
Mind at the start of the podcast when we were saying we're absolutely not going to disrespect Inverness, and we've got 8-0, 6-0, 10-0.
Beat Dundee United 0-0 and beat them 0-0, beat them 9-0.
I want that as my message tone. I need to clip that snippet and say beat them 0-0. And every time my phone goes off, it says that.
I'm going silly. I'm going silly and getting into double figures. Why no? Why the hell no? But
Ange's last game, 10-0. Bush.
I'll take a 1-0 if it means he's staying.
Aye.
I'll punch your cheese and ham toasty and say it.
No, that brings us to the end of the podcast, lass. It's tomorrow is just ever so closer now. We'll all be Anthony, I think you're going to the Kerrydale suite to watch it with your old man and stuff. The rest is Stephen's getting the ferry over, which is amazing. Willie's picking him up sharp for Glasgow. It's got to be a great day. Everybody that's been watching, just enjoy your day. Have plenty to drink. Just say plenty to drink. Just enjoy the day. Enjoy the day.
Aye. Cheers. And by the way, see at one point, I think if we win it, at one point we should all take a moment to ourselves, even if it's individually, and just stand back and watch what everybody's doing and soak it in and just go, wow, I've loved this.
Couldn't agree more, mate. And as I say, hopefully, like you say, I know obviously 5 out of the 6 Endless Celts are going to be in Gracie's for the game. Obviously, I'll try. I'm not what to say a wall or whatever, but and then
he's not coming.
I'll try my best to make an appearance, because all 6 is together on a historic day. It's sends shivers down the spine, to say.
Yeah, man.
Nah, totally agree. But that's us. I'll wrap it up, and I'll try and do Stephen's catchphrase. And by the way, I've actually just my mind's went total blank. I've actually not even.
Stay well.
Stay well.
Keep well.
Safe.
Keep
fuck off, Wally. Stay well. Keep safe.
Happy.
Happy. Bankers. Bye.
Back at one more troops, everybody. You're all welcome.
Yep.